Welcome back to the static VoIP infrastructure to dynamic VoIP infrastructure. My name is Mac Hendricks, and in this episode, we're going to talk through now that we have our Fusion PBX server up and going using Claude to help us get that box up and going. We are going to create what they call outbound routes or gateway to be able to make outbound calls. If you remember from episode 1 and 2, we actually used Claude Code to actually stand up Fusion PBX. In episode 2, we actually add some extensions. First we actually created a domain, and then we added some extensions. And remember, a domain is like setting up a virtual tenant in the PBX. So we could have multiple tenants using the same PBX. So if you have multiple customers or multiple subsidiaries in a company, you could use Fusion PBX to actually set up multiple separate PBXs for your company. So today we're just going to jump right in, and we're going to talk about setting this up so that we can make outbound calls. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is, and I've already kind of done it, I just wanted to make sure that Claude remembered our system. If you remember, it's the Fusion PBX -AI system, and this is the credentials to that system. And so we're going to go ahead and say, hey, want to create a new gateway that allows calls to be routed outbound. Okay. We will use, in this case, we're going to use DSIP router, which DSIP router is a SIP proxy, and it has basically a bunch of carriers defined, and you can specify which carrier to use once the call gets to DSIP router. So instead of actually going out and setting up Fusion PBX to talk to one carrier, we're going to have it talk to DSIP router. DSIP router can then talk to different, or be configured to talk to different carriers if need be. We're going to use the demo version of DSIP router as the gateway, the API key to DSIP router is this. Grab the API key, and we will see okay, and okay, and API whoop is this. Okay. Outbound from our Fusion PBX AI host. And let's see if it can figure this out without us saying anything else. Let's see. So what it's coming back and saying is basically, I want to say no. I want is basically we have the ability in DSIP router to do endpoint leases, which is just temporary. Um, Basically gives us a temporary credentials to be able to connect to this box for a period of time. Now that's one way of doing it, but I'm actually going to have it create the other one. So, um, um, create a so, okay, we set this or API. Oh, I was trying to probe multiple endpoints here to figure out what to do. Okay, so I'm just gonna let it go ahead and do that. So I just told it, I gave it kind of a hint. You can use the endpoint group API to do this, but we'll see. I'm just gonna say, quit asking me questions to allow it to trying to get our approval before it actually does stuff. But this is a demo system, so I really don't care as much about that. I just want to see what it can do. Okay. So it said, hey, the API works. The user clarified to use the endpoint groups API. Let me inspect this structure. It's funny. It actually it came up with a name for the endpoint group, Mac Telecom. It's funny. That's for the group. Okay. Do you want to proceed? Yeah, sure. It's pretty cool though that it was able to go and figure out by looking at all the API endpoints and looking at the API docs and figure out how to actually create what was necessary to connect it up. So let's see how well it does here. Let's let it keep going, and we'll see how well it sets this up. So yeah, it looks like it created the endpoint group with the group ID 27 endpoint group, and then in Reloaded Chameleon. All right, and now it said, let me set up the FusionPBX side. And it looks like before, if you remember in the second episode, we actually used the Melt API, which is the API I wrote that actually provides a layer on top of Fusion, or it can go directly to the Fusion tables and actually manipulate those tables or create a script to manipulate those tables. So it looks like it's going right at the database table to do it. Now, also, I wonder where it's gonna create. So it's gonna create this gateway. Like, I wonder where it's gonna create it at. Is it gonna create it inside of um, the main Fusion PBX domain, or is it actually going to create it on a different one? So we'll see. It looks like it's just gonna create it on the main though. All right, so now it's just testing connectivity to make sure the port is open and that it can communicate. Let's see here. Okay, and one yes. Let's say FusionPBX is reachable. Neither IP reply to UDP options, but each commonly drops options that don't match a route. So the alone is inclusive. TCP close is expected. Okay. So what is it trying to do here? I don't understand the schema. Here's my plan. On DSub router, create an endpoint group named Fusion AI. Well, Fusion PBX public IP address. Using IP based off the PBX as a static IP. This is a clean registration on Fusion. Create an outbound gateway pointing to demo.dsub router. Let me create the endpoint group in dsub router first. Endpoint group created. Endpoint group confirmed. Fusion neither IP replies at all. No gateway, no static gateway directory, but okay. So it's going ahead and it's going ahead and trying to figure out how to actually set up the gateways properly. So it's figuring out how Fusion PBX works, and it's going to actually put it there. And I think this is interesting because like you don't have to know decent router or Fusion PBX in this case. It's kind of teaching you as it introspects the code bases for these, is reading the code and is actually kind of telling you what it does. So it's a great way to learn these systems as well. All right, and so let me create the gateway now, flush it, and reload. So is this basically inserting it directly into the Fusion PBX database? Now, again, they could have used the Melt API, probably would have made this a lot simpler, but I'm really just trying to figure out what Claude code would do on its own without giving it that much detail. I think if I would have narrowed this down a lot, it would have probably made it a lot quicker, but we're learning as well, right? How these systems interact with these PBX systems, and can it figure it out? And it looks like it can. So that's really what we're also testing here, is that can we use Claude Code to build this? And when we get done, we could actually build a skill that kind of takes all of our learnings that we found and then wrap it into a skill so that it doesn't have to do all of this investigative work to figure out what the schema looks like, how it works, and kind of reverse engineering it. We can actually just give it a skill and it'll just go do it for us. But for right now, we're just trying to like, you know, we're just giving it very basic questions and seeing how far it can go by itself. or how confused it may get, things of that nature. All right. So it says gateway is live. Before building the dial plan, let me verify the SIP path to decent route actually works with a test organization, a test and a SIP trace. The hang up calls tells us whether it reachable and accepts us. Oh, I know what the problem is here. I think it's just the way we've built the demo system. I just think I need to fix something here, and this will work. It's basically saying that DSIP is not answering, and is this because we have a public IP assigned to this? So I'm gonna fix that really quickly, and then I think from there, it should be able to properly make request or communicate properly. So I'm gonna fix this on DSIP really. And this really has nothing to do. If you're installing DSIP on a box, you wouldn't have to go fix it. But just the way we're building this demo box in our demo environment, I have to go fix this. So I'm gonna go fix it really quickly. Hmm. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at what is really going on here and see if we can figure out what the problem is. So let's go to a web browser here. Let's log into DSIP router. Let's grab the demo permissions here. Okay, endpoint groups. So it created the group for us, which is cool. Okay, let's click into it. It created the endpoints. Okay, which is great. All right, so it did all that. Now, it didn't reload, at least it looks like it didn't reload Camellia. So that may be why it's not responding. But let's try and just register a phone really quickly, and let's see if we can get it to do that. So let me figure that out. So, all right. So now let's go and see if we can register against this box here. And let's say this is or let me just at least try and send traffic to it. So we're gonna do FusionPBX AI test dsubrouter.net. It really doesn't matter what we send here. Okay, and then 1947-517-6566. And what we'll do, we'll actually log on to that demo box, which we are already. Use S1E3 and see what happens when we make the call. Oh, I think I actually fat fingered it here. Let me go back to Zapier. Our Zapier crashed. That was one thing. All right. So let's go back. Oh, no. We want to send it to demo.dsubrouter. Okay. So now let's call it. And let's close this. And let's close it out, and then let's see what we can do. Okay, so the call is actually, I got this call. So it's it's sending an invite here, and the invite is going to the local IP. So that's the real problem here, is that it's getting filtered to the local IP. So let me fix that really quickly. 10.26. So it's sending it to this address here, but this is the local address. This is it's the external address on that network here. So we just need to make a change really quickly. All right, so now let's go back here. All right, cool. Now it's responding. Yeah. It kept picking this other IP address because we have another IP address that's associated with it. So I want to fix that while I'm sitting here waiting for this to complete. Okay. All right, this is saying yes. Okay, so it looks like now, so it's pinning it. Looks like now we have bidirectional SIP. Looks like decent router replied with 100 trying, process our invites. Trunk is up and authorized. Okay. All right. All right, the gateway is built and the trunk is verifying working. There's currently no outbound routes on the system, and extensions live in the tenant domains Kimbrew, Ormsby, Hendrix, plus the primary domain and outbound route in Fusion PBX is per domain. So I need to know where and how you want calls to go out. Let's just say, what we can do is, and actually this is good. It says created all 4 domains, tenant domains only, primary domain only, or skip gateway only. So I'm gonna say all domains, and what I'm looking for is like, I wonder will it actually set up. There's a whole thing inside of Fusion PBX where you can kind of inherit a particular gateway setup. So I want to see how it does this. I'm gonna say on all gateways, and what dial pattern? Let's do plus per pin of one. I'm gonna do 11 digit. That's good. It knows all this. It asked me do I want 11 digits or 10 digits. So that's good. So smart. So I'm gonna let it go ahead and do this. And we'll see what it comes back with. All right, came back, creating outbound routes in all four domains and matching 11 digit. And so, yes, it created a small script to do this. And so now it's actually trying to push a call through with 11 digit number and see what happens. Which it'll go to decent router, but decent router isn't set up to go to it will go to a particular carrier, but it probably won't call won't go out. So end to end confirmed. Yeah. So yeah. So it actually did the whole thing. It did end to end testing. It used originate from free switch to trigger a call on its own, and figure out like could it make a call. So uh, and this saving integration details to memory. And it says done. Outbound calling from Fusion AI through decent router is set up and verify end to end. It tells what was built. And it gives us what was the real problem, the verification. Um, yep. Okay. Well, good. This is great. So we're going to okay. So it looks like now so it's pinning it. Looks like now we have bidirectional SIP. Looks like decent router replied with 100 trying, process our invites. Um, Trunk is up and authorized. Okay. All right. All right. The gateway is built and the trunk is verifying working. There's currently no outbound routes on the system, and extensions live in the tenant domains Kimbrew, Ormsby, Hendrix, plus the primary domain and outbound route in Fusion PBX is per domain. So I need to know where and how you want calls to go out. Let's just say, what we can do is, and that's this is good. It says created all four domains, tenant domains only, primary domain only, or skip gateway only. So I'm gonna say all domains. And what I'm looking for is like, I wonder will it actually set up. There's a whole thing inside of Fusion PBX where you can kind of inherit a particular gateway setup. So I want to see how it does this. I'm gonna say on all gateways. And what dial pattern? Let's do plus per pin of one. I'm gonna do 11 digit. That's good. It knows all this. It asked me do I want 11 digits or 10 digits. So that's good. So smart. So I'm gonna let it go ahead and do this. And we'll see what it comes back with. All right, came back, creating outbound routes in all four domains and matching 11 digit. And so, yes, it created a small script to do this. And so now it's actually trying to push a call through with 11 digit number and see what happens. Which it'll go to decent router, but decent router isn't set up to go to it will go to a particular carrier, but it probably won't call won't go out. So end to end confirmed. Yeah. So yeah. So it actually did the whole thing. It did end to end testing. It used originate from free switch to trigger a call on its own, and figure out like could it make a call. Uh, and this saving integration details to memory. And it says done. Outbound calling from Fusion AI through decent router setup and verify end to end. It tells what was built. It gives us what was the real problem, the verification. Um, yep. Okay. Well, good. This is great. So we're going to just pause here, and let's go see what it actually did, and look at the call tree, or look at the PCAP. All right, so now I'm back. I'm verifying what was done. If I look at the terminal really quickly here, I can see it actually set this up on Fusion as we talked about before, and then it ran through a verification phase. So it said a test call. Well, for this number, push through the Kimbrew dial plan. Kimbrew was one of the domains we created. So it actually made a call here, and it routed to decent router. Decent router returned to 100. It's basically saying, hey, since it returned to 100, it accepted the actual call, like decent router that is, accepted the call and was routing the call. So it just stopped short of that. And that makes sense because I don't have a real trunk set up on this demo system, like a real trunk to a carrier that actually works. But just knowing that it actually was able to do IP authentication to DSIP, this gives us a high level of confidence that it works without a problem. It says that this is one note though. We gotta go look at this and kind of figure out what this means. The routes were inserted in dialplan.xml, so like the runtime configuration file, I think here is what it's talking about, without the vdialplan detail rows the GUI uses. So the GUI inserts these details into this table. So if someone edits a route in the web UI and saves, they need to rebuild its conditions. Details are in memory. So we'll go dig into that a little bit in a second. But I thought this was kind of cool is that it's saying, hey, if you have a real phone number, I can actually test that too and test two-way audio as well. So pretty interesting. So I mean, really, what we've proved out here is that Claude Code knows how to figure out, how to set up Fusion PBX to communicate with a SIP carrier. In this case, we're using decent router as a proxy, and then decent router is configured with everything else. So it was able to figure those things out, which is pretty cool. So that is probably something I wasn't expecting um, this outcome. Like I knew I could figure out how to set up the trunk, but for it to actually go through the next step of verifying that it works without us asking, that's pretty impressive. So let's go look at what it actually built, and let's see what it looks like for a call to actually go through. So let's go back to my terminal. I'm at my terminal, but let's go to the box itself. So this is the demo box here. I want to do a SN grep here. And then I want to have it place a call just for giggles. Place another test call. And it looks like his test call is going to be 202. Right here is where it went. Cool. So yeah, so this is the Fusion box here coming out, hitting the DSIP box. This is its internal IP address, and then it's trying to hit a carrier that we haven't configured. So that is right. So it's actually making the actual call, at least attempting to make the call. So yeah, so it's no answering. So fake test number, no real answering. Yeah, so it just tests the routing. So kind of cool. And also it tells you here's the invite sent, try and cancel, all the sub messages that was sent. I noticed in the it doesn't show this. I'm pretty sure I can figure out how to get it to show this, but oh, there it goes. I ran this command here. So it looks what it went through here is that it started a test call. First thing it did, it actually ran TCP dump, and that way it could capture what actually happens here, and and then it puts that in the background, sleeps for a second, and then it does a test call. It uses the free switch CLI to originate a call. So here goes the originating ID number, and then the number of the call, and then it used the Hendrix.test dsetrouter.net domain, which is fine. Any of them will work. And then then after that, it actually it looks like here it actually looked at the SIP messages being exchanged with DSIP router. Um, oh, okay. It looks like it read all the messages and grabbed it. Okay, so it basically took the PCAP file that we had was recording this interaction with, and then now it's parsing out certain parts of the messages. So it does that, and then it ends it. So all right, that's pretty cool. So I definitely recommend using um Claude Code for setting up your actual Fusion PBX and DSET router configuration. I mean, especially if you don't really understand all the details behind it, Cloud Code seems to be a very good tool to help you track down and figure out how things work. So let's go look at, now that we see it here, let's go see what it actually created on the Fusion PBX side. So, well, we're all logged in a decent router, so we might as well just look there first. So let's go look there. It created an endpoint with the IP address of the Fusion box, um, outbound routes. It really didn't make any changes there because it didn't need to. And then yeah, that's really the only thing it had to do was add an endpoint group here, and then they added the endpoint. So yeah, there wasn't much that needed to be done, and then it reloaded itself. So we are this is good. So let's go over to Fusion. I know we're gonna probably have to log back in here, and we'll look at the gateway that was created. Let me grab. I need to start just writing this stuff down. And what was it at? And let me switch over to my web browser so you can see. There. Oops. I must have fat fingered something here. Okay. And then the password. Oh, I just copied too much of the string here. Got some white characters in it. And I think that it probably created at the root level. It did. So outbound, so created that gateway, made it public. Yeah. And so we made a call with the Hendrix trunk here. And let's see here. It actually the outbound route is probably global. Go back here. Huh. Let's see where it put the outbound route. Hmm. Oh, or was this what it was saying? Is that it created it, so I can't see it in the UI. I think that's what it's saying. Is that it created it in the XML file, but yeah, so I can't see the outbound route inside of here. So let's see here. So that's let's see what it was saying here. The routes were inserted into dial plan XML, runtime authoritative here without the vdial plan details roles the GUI uses. So if someone edits a route in the web UI, they will need to rebuild the conditions and details are in memory. Let's see. I'm gonna say show the details. I think I understand what it's trying to say. Show the details from this statement. Okay, I get what it's saying. So it went and updated v dial plan XML, which is a table in the Fusion PBX database. It is the complete free switch XML on as one text blob. This is what the runtime, the different mod Lua and XML uses actually serves to the free switch on each call. So basically, it went updated here. So this is the v details underscore v dial plan underscore details is what's in the UI. So it actually generated the 4 routes and put it in a dial plan.xml. So um yeah, so that's how we're able to make outbound calls, even though it's not in the UI. Okay. So all right, so it just updates um the dial plan.xml file by default. I'm gonna say, but it says to make it GUI safe, it can backfill. So we're gonna say, yes, backfill the v dial plan details table and make that the default behavior. All right. So now, if it does that, my assumption is then I'll be able to go in and look at the outbound routes here and see them in the UI. Right now, it's working without a problem because it modified the dial plan XML, which is what is being served up the free switch. But we'll see in a second. So it says I don't want to backfill the detail role. So we'll see. Okay. So now it's setting it up for us. Hmm. All right. So let's see what it did. So inserted the 24 detail rows. It set the condition. It sets the actions. Yeah, so and also I made it a default going forward. It says, so it saved it to memory. When I create and modify FusionPBX dial plans via the database, I'll populate the V dial plan details along with dial plan XML by default. So that's very cool. So let's go back to the UI and let's go see if it actually what actually it did. Let's see outbound route. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Okay. So it is added to the dial plan manager. I was suspecting that it would make it an outbound route, but it is added to the dial plan manager. So, hmm. So I created a new dial plan called Outbound Decent Router. Now, I gotta figure out, do I actually like that versus it being an outbound route? I don't know. I don't know. I have to play with this a little bit. But the good thing about it is that it actually put the dial plan in place, so that the call can get routed to DSIP and then the call goes outbound. So that's a pretty interesting thing. Took us a little while to figure out what was happening with the records, but I have a better understanding now. So good. So I think that is probably all we are going to cover in this episode. Next episode, we'll go probably a little bit deeper in understanding, um, some other components of Fusion PBX and how to deploy them quickly. Just making it probably a little bit more. Probably walk through a use case where we actually have a inbound caller come in, they suck something from an IVR, and then they get routed to a human if they're available, or to an agent. Um, so we'll go through that next week. All right, take care.